In this video, you will understand and create grids. In order to complete the lessons, you will first need to download the free datasets. This link is shared in the video description. Grids and levels are finite planes that act as datums for Revit elements. In the example below, the structural columns and foundations are constrained to each grid intersection and remain parametric when the grids change. Let's begin by opening up Project A, or if you're still in the project, you can continue from your previous exercise. In the previous exercise, of course, we created levels. So now we're going to focus our attention to grids. In the project browser, let's begin by opening up the site plan. You may remember that when we linked in the DWG file, we only configured the DWG to appear in the current view, which was site. So now we're ready to start creating our grids. On the structure ribbon, in the datum panel, let's go ahead and click grid, or you can type in GR for the shortcut. Once again, we'll focus our attention on the context ribbon. So you can see here we have modify place grid. In the draw panel, we have now a few more options than we had with levels. We can create straight lines or of course arcs. But notice here we're not seeing things like ellipses or splines. We want to make sure that we can actually set these grids out on site. We also have the option of creating multi-segment grids. So that would be cranked grids and so on. But in this case here, I'm going to use pick lines. And the reason I'm using this is, of course, we've got an AutoCAD file with those grids already drawn. On the options bar, you'll notice here that we have a very similar set of options that we saw with levels. We can create an offset or, in fact, lock. So let's now begin by starting to create our grid. We'll begin by selecting the line that represents grid 1. Now, we don't want to click the circle here. What Revit's going to do is convert the geometry you pick into a Revit element. So in this case, I want to pick this line, which represents grid 1. We'll then directly go to grid 2, and we need to check that the numbering is working. If I pick this again by mistake, I'd end up with grid 3 here, and then of course the numbering would be out of sequence. So you need to pay careful attention to the grids you're selecting. So I can now go through and select these grids. And now we have all grids selected in this plane. I'll now start with the horizontal grids. Now, of course, here you'll notice that when I select this, it's now simply carried on with the sequence and it's gone to grid 9. Even though I'm in the grid command, I can still select this value here and type in capital A. That then resets the sequence. So when I now select the subsequent grids here, you can now see that they follow that sequence that I've set. Now here you can see that we've got this circular element here where we have columns set out. I want to actually use this for grids. So what I'm going to have to do here is actually split this into two sections because Revit will not let us create a circular grid. But of course I can create two arcs that are concentric with the same radius. So notice when I pick the top half of the arc, you can see I've got this grid here, and then Revit's also created grid G here. Okay, so let's go ahead and select the Modify button or press Escape to come out of the grid command. We'll now start to look at the presentation of these grids. In order to help us set the grids out and dimension and present them better, I'm going to first switch off the visibility of this DWG file. To do this, I'm going to select the View ribbon, and on the View ribbon, you can see here I have Visibility Graphic Overrides, or we can use the quicker approach of typing VV or VG. In the Visibility Graphic Overrides dialog box, I'm going to go ahead here and select Imported Categories, and temporarily I'm going to switch off the entire category. So what this would do is switch off all DWG files in this particular view, which in this case is Structural Plan Site. And here we're just exposing the raw Revit geometry of our grids. So let's begin by starting to tidy up some of these grids. I'm going to start here by looking at these two grids. I don't really want to show any reference on these grids, so I'm going to go ahead and select the grid. And very much like the levels, you'll notice here that we have check marks, and they will either show or hide the grid head at either end of the element. And I'll do the same for grid G. Again, I'll cycle off that grid head. So you can now see we're just left with the geometry, but we're not exposing those grid callouts or the grid heads. If we look at the spacing here, we can see that grid 1 extension and grid A extension are in fact a little bit different. So what we might want to do is make sure that we've got exactly the same kind of extension going on. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to just temporarily select this annotate ribbon here, and I'm going to draw a detail line. If I select detail line, this is just going to be a temporary element, and you can see as I construct this, notice it's snapping at 135 degrees. Revit will try and snap to those cardinal 45-degree positions, as you can see here. So I'm just going to now snap the position down here and then hit modify or press escape. Why have I done this? Well, now if I select grid A, as soon as I select grid A, you'll now notice that we have this padlock symbol and all the other grids are aligned to grid A. That's what this means. It's basically telling me here that these grids shown by this line are aligned to this grid here. So if I take this grid and now move this back, you'll notice here I can snap to that detail line, and now I've got exactly the same offset from the grids. Once I have that configuration, I can simply just pick this detail line and press delete. That's now served its purpose. Okay, good. So that's the setting out looking quite nice. The only other thing I might want to do is just extend or perhaps retract some of these grids here. Now, if I select this grid here, you'll notice if I retract these grids, notice only the ones that are locked will retract. So this one here and this one here are independent. Yeah, if I did this now, can you see now that the other grids are now in that group? Now, I might not want that. What I might want to do is shorten these grids here, but leave these ones extending past this radial grid. I'm now temporarily going to unlock this grid here, and I can then move this back. I can do a similar thing with the remaining grids, so I can unlock this one here. Notice now that these two are now locked together. I'll unlock this one. Now these three are locked together, and the final one here will pull back. So now we have a situation where these four grids here are now joined or locked together, and these three grids here would also move as a team or a set. Okay, so I'm quite happy with the graphical configuration of these grids. What I might want to do now is add some basic dimensions to the grids. To do this, let's ensure that we're in the Annotate ribbon, and on the Annotate ribbon, I'm going to select Aligned Dimension. With that dimension selected, I can now simply select the items that I'd like to dimension. So I'm just going to pick all these grids here. Now here, of course, I can't pick the actual grid itself because this element is raking across the views. But what I can do is go to the intersection here. Notice I get this black dot representing the intersection between the two elements. I could find that anywhere down the grid intersections. So I'm going to select here, move my mouse up and place those dimensions down. Let's do a very similar thing across the other axes. So I can select these grids, and again now move into spare space and place them. Now it's just worth noting here that if you get in a situation where you go to place the grids like this and then it removes one, that's because you're picking the same element and deselecting it. Notice when I select these elements, it either removes it from the selection or adds it to the selection. So to place the dimensions down, you need to make sure that you place these down in spare space. Don't pick on an element, maybe here, for example. And you can now see that we have both of our axes now dimensioned. Now, of course, grid 8 is raking across the view. So in order to set this out accurately, what I might need to do is place an additional dimension down the bottom here. So I can do that. I can select this element here and then pick the intersection of the grid and then place out that dimension. To finalize this, I might also want to place out a radial dimension for these two arcs. So notice here on the context ribbon, we currently have modify place dimensions. And here I have all sorts of different dimensioning tools that I could use. And in this case here, I'm going to select radial. I can pick this grid here and place out my radial dimension. Now let's just check some of these grids in the other views. So I'm going to begin by opening up the south elevation. So I'll double click on south and you can now see the elevation is open. Notice now that Revit elevates all of those grids. The only grid it doesn't elevate is grid 8. And just to remind you, if I switch back to the site plane, grid 8 is raking across the views. So hence Revit can't really display that. This elevation isn't actually cutting through any part of the structure, so hence it can't elevate that grid all the way back. What we do need to do here is tidy up these levels. So with a very similar technology than you've seen with grids, I can select the level. Notice here that we have this padlock symbolizing that all these levels are constrained together, and I can use this open blue circle here and drag or extend all of these levels through the grids. And I'll do the same here. Okay, and the south elevation is now set out. If I now check the north elevation, I'll find that's simply a mirror image of the south. So you can now see all the levels have kept their retraction and extensions that I've given it, and all of the grids are positioned accordingly. Like I said in the levels tutorial, you'll notice now that the grids have extended through the extents of the levels. So that's why it's best to create the levels first. If I open up either the east or the west elevation here, I'd have to do a very similar thing. So now I can select the levels, and again, using the drag handle here, I can extend those levels out. Yeah, and we'll just shorten them over here. And of course, once again, if I've done the east elevation, the west elevation will then follow suit, as you can see here. A key thing to notice with the grids is that they will appear on any level that the grid cuts through. So just to demonstrate this, if I go ahead and open up the third floor, I can see clearly all of those levels, as you can see here. If, for example, I select grid B, I have temporarily unlock this from the group, and I'll drag this so now it appears lower than the third floor, and I go ahead and open up the third floor. Notice now that grid B is missing from that plan. Now that's actually a feature. You might want that. You know, if you've got a very tall tower, you might have a podium level with a much wider footprint, and the tower might start to waste away as it goes up, in which case you simply don't make the grids cut through all of the podium levels. But of course, in this case, we do want that grid to cut through. Another thing you may have noticed there is if I just return back to my site plane, you'll notice in the site plane that we have both of the grid heads cycled off for these radial grids. If I go to the third floor and open that up, you'll see that the grid heads are back to showing again down here. The reason for that is all of these planes will kind of default to the standard way of presenting the grids. But fear not, we can actually fix that quite easily. In the site plane, which is my correct view, I'm going to select one of the grids, right mouse click, select all instances visible in view. So that's gone ahead and selected all those grids in this view. If I look down on the status bar, you'll notice here with our view filter, we've got 15 elements selected. Up on the context ribbon, you'll notice here that I have a couple of options here for the datums of grids. What we're looking for here is the panels that are highlighted in green. And I can see here I've got something called Propagate Extents. If I select this tool, what I can do is take the visual appearance of the grids in this plane and propagate them up to all of these levels. Now to select these levels, I've simply just dragged my mouse across all of these planes, and then I just simply check one box, which will check them all, and then click OK. Now just to check our result, I'll open up the third floor, and we can see our grids are very nicely organized. The final task is to copy all of our dimensions from the site plane up through all of those planes. To do this, let's go back to the site plane where our dimensions exist. Here, I'm going to select one string of dimensions, and because these are the only dimensions I've set up in this project, I'm going to right mouse click, select all instances, visible in view. And you can now see once again, it's got all of those dimensions apart from the radial dimension. So I want that included in the selection set. If I hold down my control key, can you see I've got a plus symbol on my cursor? If I hold down shift, I've got negative. So I want control down so I can add this to the selection set. Now that I have my 4 dimensions selected, I can go onto the context ribbon, and here I'm just going to use very simple tools, copy to clipboard, paste. So we'll select copy to clipboard. Notice that that lights up the paste button. I have some options which I'm going to show you here. I'm going to click on the pull down menu, and here I want to paste aligned to selected views. This is a very powerful tool. Here I can now select the planes I want to paste this to. Now what you'll notice here is I'm not going to go ahead and select structural plane site. I've already got the dimensions there, so if I pasted these things to that plane, I would then have duplicate elements. I'm also not going to bother with the dimensions on the analytical model. I'll go ahead and click OK. And now if we go back and check out some of these other planes, for example, I'll open up the first floor. I can see here I've got my grid configuration, absolutely perfect. And over here I have all of my dimensions. So that concludes this last video and also this module. In the next module, we'll actually get on and model structural components.